like horizontal? All right, so I want to review. This is another mini review so that I'm clear that all of you really understand what you need to do for your final product. Okay. So far you've been doing a really great job. I don't see cell phones out except for one, which needs to get put away. Very focused, respecting the one voice norm, so you're off to a great start, productive, thank you. So I'm gonna start, I'm just gonna go through them. I'm asking the group that worked on that particular question to answer it, and if you also answered that question, check your answers, right? So in the back, I gave you guys question number 1. Question number 1 was, which of the 5 spheres do you think are most relevant or important to the topic that we're covering in our final product? So who's going to be your speaker back there? Michael, or how about Jose? You're kind of quiet. You don't speak up too much. Let's have it be Jose. What are the 3, Jose?
The atmosphere.
Atmosphere?
Biosphere.
The biosphere?
And
what's the last one?
Hydrosphere.
You know, we've talked, the hydrosphere is definitely involved in global warming, but there's one that's actually much more important.
geosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Atmosphere.
We said atmosphere, and we said
Anthrosphere.
the anthrosphere. What is the anthrosphere, guys, in the back?
It's where people live.
It's human activity. So it can be where they live, their homes, it can be the factories they build, it can be the cars they drive, it can be whatever they do. And we know that humans are dumping a lot of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. That's why that's one's so important. All right. Now hydrosphere is involved. The geosphere is the Earth itself. That may not come up in your project, but definitely you should be talking about the biosphere, the anthrosphere, and the atmosphere. And why the biosphere? Anybody? Why is the biosphere important? Okay, so the biosphere refers to life, but what in particular is involved in this cycle? Go ahead, Benjamin. Plants. Say more. Say more.
Plants like absorb carbon dioxide and like vary through the different seasons.
Thank you. So when you're trying to explain this up and down pattern that we've been looking at, we know it's because of the plants. We know that when it's high, CO2 is high because the plants are dormant. They're not breathing in the CO2, it's winter. And we know when it's low, it's because it's summer and they're fully leafed out and they're breathing a lot of carbon dioxide in, okay? And you want to talk about that in your product somewhere, whatever you decide to do. Okay, this group here had number 3. Where can you find scaffolding and supports to complete project? Anybody?
Checkpoint 4.
Good. There's several things in checkpoint 4. We will not work through it together, but it's there for you. Check out some of the things in there that you might use. There's some sentence frame starters that you've seen before. This tutorial, the packet, is in there for you to look at anytime you want. There's even a little bit more in that packet online than what you have there. So use it for your guidance, okay? All right, you guys had question number 4. Why do you think I chose to include a polar bear floating on an iceberg in my first slide?
Because you wanted to show the effects of the greenhouses.
A little louder?
Because you wanted to show the effects of global warming.
Okay, so that picture right there shows a real world effect of global warming. What is the effect? Why is he on the iceberg?
Because ice caps have been melting, so the ice that he was on is separated from the main.
Yeah, the main glacier, whatever it is. So as the ice is shrinking and breaking up, then you've got these polar bears affected because that's where they live, and it's affecting their ability to hunt and find food and things like that as their habitat is shrinking, right? All right, great. The other thing, what did I talk about earlier with you, Seth? The other reason I put it in was why?
Because it was due to like human activity.
But think in terms of your story. What do you want your story to do?
Appealing.
Okay, yeah, you want your story to be relatable to people in the real world. You're taking some science concepts that people might find kind of dry or not so interesting and trying to make it appealing and more interesting to someone who's a non-scientist. And everyone kind of has heard about the polar bears. Everyone can kind of relate to animals and have some empathy for them. So as you do your story, think about, how can I make my story relatable to other people in the real world? Okay, and how can I translate hard science concepts into easier ideas to be understood. Okay, Shariah, you had the thing about the 3 main greenhouse gases. What are they?
Water, carbon dioxide.
Good. Water in vapor form, water vapor, carbon dioxide, which is what we've talked about forever, and then methane wasn't in your packet, but it is in the slideshow that's online. And I'm putting you on the spot right now, but why are greenhouse gases good to a certain extent? You know, Angel, you just came in. There's something good about greenhouse gases, to be honest. Anybody?
They keep the earth warm.
They keep us warm. We want some greenhouse gases. They're like the little blanket keeping us warm. We just don't want it to be too hot, right? Okay, Divyani, you had number 6. What is, you can unlock that door, Mr. No, that's fine. What is an analogy? Give me an example of an analogy that I used in the project. What is an analogy? Tell them this in the first. What's an analogy?
Well, I didn't get in the classroom because we kicked me out.
Can you just keep taping this, please? No, he wants to be the videographer. Thank you. I'm taping this introduction, okay? All right. Yeah. Now, please tell the class, Billy, you know, what is an analogy if you can put it into words, and what was an example?
The example was that Mr.
Good. If you didn't hear what she said that Mr. Heatmiser from that Christmas cartoon was like the carbon dioxide that's melting stuff. And then we had Frosty the Snowman who's melting, just like the Arctic ice is melting from global warming, right? What's an analogy in general? I need you guys to be fully present, I'm gonna wrap it up pretty quickly. What is an analogy? And why do you care for this project? Yes, go ahead.
It's a way of like phrasing your like main point to like an easier way to.
Good. Once again, it's a way of taking something scientific and putting it into a term that people can kind of understand. An analogy is when you compare one thing to another thing, usually to help someone understand what you're talking about. Okay, and then we have just a couple more. So, what are 4 key terms? Who had number 8? Nobody. No, you guys had 8? 7? Okay, so what's a greenhouse? How does a greenhouse work?